Okay, well, recently there's kind of been controversy blowing up within the Dirty Bomb community due to certain monetization shifts. There was kind of a ninja edit with the upcoming Steam trading thing, so, well, I kind of want to talk about Dirty Bomb, its monetization strategy in the past, what it is now, and what it might be going into the future. So, let's start off with Dirty Bomb's monetization strategy is fundamentally flawed. Specifically, the card system isn't suited for a repeated monetization model. It's like of its long-term players who are willing, ready, and able to give splash damage cash, but the options aren't really there for them to do so and feel good about their purchase. It also explains why they've been trying to overhaul the whole system in the past year or so. Well, let's go through how the system is flawed, then the steps they've taken to try to change that. If you're wondering why the game seems to have taken like kind of a sharp turn, like 90 degrees, and kind of the way it's monetizing things, this video is probably going to explain that, hopefully. So, or if you're interested in how cosmetics are going to be going into Dirty Bomb's future, I kind of might have a bit of insight into that. Well, you'll see. But, let's go. Well, let's start from the beginning. Progression. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Progression in Dirty Bomb is loadout cards. In increasing rarity, you got your bronze, your silver, your gold, and your cobalt cards. The only difference between them are cosmetic. When a player starts a game and has no cards, gold actually seems like a valuable card. But over time, players kind of realize the gap between gold and cobalt's rarity is astronomical. So, gold becomes the baseline. Everyone has gold cards eventually, right? And then they're working their way up to cobalt. So, golds become the standard. Fast forward a very long grind later, and you eventually go into making cobalts. When you roll a worthwhile cobalt, you are done with progression. This progression can also be sidestepped if you have like an event or a ranked card, and earned a specific card for the merc that you play, since the prestige and rarity of those cards tends to be equal or greater to a cobalt, depending on how long the event was. Well, how long ago the event was. So, the TLDR is that progression is skins, and gold is the standard status card in this game, while cobalt, ranked, and specific event cards are the high status cards. Let's move on to the next issue, the problem. Specifically, the problem for Dirty Bomb and kind of monetizing players past this point. Well, because we all understand that this is a business, right? They have to keep making money. But at this point, they can't really monetize their most dedicated players, the players that are generally willing to spend money. So, let's just explain why that is. Well, when they attain a cobalt variant or a high status card, this effectively creates a wall that the dev's current monetization model has to deal with. This wall means progression ends when a player has attained his ideal loadout, or at least close enough to it that they don't want to re-roll. The devs can't monetize past this point. Most dedicated players will reach this point eventually, and the potential whales will have bought a large amount of cases and gotten to this wall sooner than most people, meaning they lose incentive to spend further. So, a big sticking point here is, because Dirty Bomb tied its skins to its loadouts and its perks, this kind of was a terrible idea long term, because it hurts the idea of skin hunting and collecting new cosmetics, because the cosmetics are intrinsically tied to how you play the game, and can force players to get attached to a specific card and a specific loadout when they get a close enough version to it that they don't want to actually spend the time and effort to look for a new one. Because this is the case, swapping out loadout skins means having to change your entire playstyle due to its loadout. So you tend to only go for one good cobalt skin, ranked, or event skin per character you play. This wall is the point where devs cannot monetize the game anymore. If players are able to reach this wall, the devs stand to lose this person as a source of revenue for the game. Which brings us to how Dirty Bomb's devs have tried to counteract this wall in various ways. Since they could not just rework the loadout system from the ground up, they've gotten kind of creative with various techniques being used. First, let's talk about how they kind of tried to move the goalpost away with each major update. We're going to kind of bullet point this to go through it faster, because if you're watching this, you're probably a long-term player maybe, right? Okay, first, let's talk about how they move the goalpost further away with each major update. That was kind of their initial strategy with their monetization system, but they veered off in another direction from that. But let's just go through that to just learn a bit more about what they've been doing. So, To increase the time it took you to hit the wall, with every iteration of the crafting system, they increased the value and cost to get a cobalt, either directly or indirectly, such as with the removal of the trade-up system and the introduction of fragments. The trade-up value of gold was reduced, making cobalt harder to get, as well as increasing the crafting cost to make one. With this also came the introduction of crafting kits to further monetize the game. Okay, with that being said, let's actually go through what the trade-up system was. Here we go, here's a video. So, in this video you can see that golds were reduced in value with the introduction of fragments, right? Because, as you can see here, it's 6 golds to craft a cobalt. Well, now with the new crafting system, golds are worth 2k apiece, and to craft a cobalt you need 20k fragments. So, instead of the 6 here, you need 10 golds. You need to trash 10 golds to create a cobalt. And it doesn't just stop there. Now, as you can see, the transaction fee here to craft a cobalt says 10k. Well, with the removal of this trade-up system, to craft a cobalt now requires 50k per roll. Okay, with that being said, let's kind of move on to another aspect that they changed. Daily rewards. Let's transition to that right now. So, the old daily reward system allowed you to earn a total of 2k of... Yeah, here it is. It allowed you to earn a total of 2k points per day. You earned 500 for playing an objective match, 500 playing a stopwatch match, 500 for playing execution, and 500 gold for your first win of the day. Well, this daily reward system was overhauled. This was later changed with the introduction of daily play rewards and the removal of execution, or more commonly known as team deathmatch. So, how did this change? Well, let's take a look at that right now. So, what happened was, instead of what we would normally expect, instead of earning 2,000 credits per day, well, you earned 1.5 credits, at least in 3 of those days. So, a reduction of 500. Plus, in most of those days, you earned a case, right? So, a Mach 1, a Mach 2, a Mach 3, and a Mach 4 case. The Mach 4 case is actually pretty decent. But Mach 3 and lower, well, they're cases. They're worth about 1,000, more or less. So, that kind of reduced the amount of credits by half. Some people saw this, most people didn't. But, again, this kind of was, once again, changed with the introduction of the RAD system. Well, this kind of went under most people's radars as well, because they only looked at it as a positive, because they introduced a small amount of RADs as a potential reward for day 3 and 7. Okay, let's quickly take a look at that. These are it. So, what happened? Well, on the first day, again, they still left the 1,500 credits to the previous system, but they removed the case for the second day. Instead, you earn 100 fragments, which is potentially much, much less than what you could have earned with a case. And, as you can see, the performance case is there. That's still, I consider that still a bit decent, but, again, fragments. 100 fragments, which is nothing. It's nothing. The 60 RADs as well, nothing. So, this is, in total, was, again, a nerf to the amount of rewards you earn per day. So beyond that, let's move on to something else, which is the case rework. Let's talk about that for a bit. Okay, here we go. The Dirty Bomb case rework. Cases were recently overhauled to remove the trash cards, then priced 5x the regular cost to offset the removal of trash. But this came at the cost of removing the chance to obtain a Cobalt card, instead of just upping the chances, like with the gold cards. This was done again to create a situation where the whole value of a case drops, i.e. Cobalts are 13k fragments when you break them down, right? Golds are 2k. This also serves to make Cobalts even harder to get, that moving the wall further away. So, the total value of a case now is, well, it's 2k. You can't get anything past that, whereas before you could have unboxed a Cobalt, which was 13k. Break that down and you can have 13k fragments that you can use to craft the card you actually want. But, again, the case rework reduced randomness, but it also got them away from pay-to-win allegations, which, as you can see, was kind of the main thing they touted when they first introduced this. See, no more lead poisoning. What's next? Basically, they removed iron and lead because when people went to the game and they first started and they're like, oh, iron and lead, oh, these cards suck ass, right? They're unusable. And bronze and the rest were all better, right? Well, anything above bronze is just a skin, but bronze is kind of like the standard, and it was still kind of annoying to get when you first start. So that was it. But with that also gave them the ability to remove the chances of actually getting a cobalt. So we'll look at the old case stats here, right? You had a 0.1% chance to get a cobalt. What are the chances now? None, right? Your gold chance went from 0.4 to 5%. So still, that was a big boost, but it's gold. It's worth 2K. It's not what most people want. It's the standard. So again, that was another case rework or a nerf to reduce the amount of randomness in the case, but also reduce the extremes, the highs and the lows. So basically, it limits the case. Instead of at a high end of 13K potentially, it's 2K max. And let's move on to the next part. So that was just making it harder to get to the wall. Generally, this is going to affect new players much, much more than it's going to affect current players. But let's talk about how they're attempting to kind of break down the wall with the recent introduction of decks. The deck bypasses the card system by allowing them to not only monetize getting a card, but now they can sell individual aspects of each card, such as a primary weapon skin, a secondary weapon skin, a melee weapon skin, and potentially in the future trinkets. So this is in conjunction with selling you multiple deck slots. That is an attempt to overcome the drawback of having a hard wall in player progression, where they could previously not monetize after you got a cobalt. Now you can augment your cobalt, and they can monetize past that. Skins are applied to one loadout at a time, making it so you have to purchase multiple skins for each loadout card you want to augment. So, you want a different Blishlock for this Fletcher? Well, you have another card with Blishlock, like an aura with Blishlock. Well, you're also going to need a different skin for that as well, because skins only apply to one loadout card. Hell, you have two loadout cards of Fletcher with a Blishlock. That skin only applies to the one Fletcher. Still, this is a way they can keep monetizing you for each individual card you get. So, let's say you do play the 7 Mercs. For each of those 7 Mercs on those 7 cards, you're going to have an individual skin for each item there. You want multiple decks too? So, with multiple loadouts, you're going to have to buy another slot as well. Now, how are these weapon skins found? Can you earn them in-game normally? Nope, these weapon skins are found in cases you purchase with real money in one of two ways. You can either just buy them straight up with rads, or you can buy them using keys, which if a locked case drops, you can unlock it using a key that you have to purchase. Before we go any further, skip to this part if you don't want to hear me go off on how predatory this current system is. But if you do, stick around, because this is... And if you're new, stick around to actually hear this, because this is... Don't spend money on this, okay? Like, on the weapon cases, do not. I understand that this is a product that needs to make a return, but I am also aware that it does not need to be done in such an exploitative fashion. The weapon cases were so badly implemented anti-consumer. So weapon cases in this game have a set amount of weapons you can roll for. Let's take a look at that right now. Boom, there you go. For this case in particular, you have a 76% chance to earn the weapons featured. Silver, you have 17.5% chance to earn those weapons. Gold, 5.3 to earn those. Cobalt, 0.7 to earn a Vindicator Blishlock. Okay, so the cases in this have a few sets of weapons you can roll for. The cases come in two types, which can be purchased from the store directly and looked at and locked, which you purchase a key from the store to unlock. In others, you can just purchase the open case directly from the store. These both have slightly different probabilities, But for the locked cases, you have a 5.2% chance to get a gold skin and a 0.7% chance to get a cobalt skin. Pretty god-awful odds for something you have to actually spend real money on. But it gets worse. Rolling for that, you also have to roll for weapon quality. There are 5 quality tiers, and let's bring them up right now. Here we go. 5 quality tiers. Scarred, worn, standard, refined, and pristine. Say that the rolls for quality are theoretically all equal. This is likely not the case, but just for the sake of giving them the best chance, let's say it is. So on top of rolling a 0.7% to get a cobalt skin, you have to roll again with a 20% chance to get the pristine version. The odds of getting a pristine cobalt weapon skin is 2%. So if and only if the chances of attaining quality was equal across all five types. So if you had a 20% chance to earn a scarred, worn, standard, refined, and pristine, 0.2% would be your odds to get a pristine cobalt. This is likely not the case, but again, this is a hidden roll. We're not privy to the odds of getting it, or at least I wasn't able to find that. So you will likely end up with a cobalt that had a probability of 0.7% to drop, but is in terrible quality and looks like absolute garbage. If you're at this point of wanting to augment your cobalt cards with weapon skins, you're very likely going to get ugly garbage when you open the cases. For most of this video, I've kind of taken an outsider perspective on this, but right now I want to stress that it is important to those who are considering buying weapon cases. Don't at all. You're burning money for trash. Humans are bad with assessing probability. My background's neuroscience, so at least trust me on this when I say, as a species, we suck when it comes to assessing the odds. These cards are behind 2 layers of RNG. That 0.7% to get something worthwhile is even smaller than you think. These things are designed to be near unwinnable. It's one of the only things in this game that I think the devs have done that I feel is like kind of towing the line and just how fucked up it is. The rat thing is annoying, but at least understandable. More about that later, though. You're better off just grinding for a cobalt card or a special edition and playing with those default weapon skins. Don't buy the cases or keys if you value your money. Look at this for a second, right? Just for rads, let's say you pay $5, you get yourself 1.2k. Then you go over to cases. You spend $5 to buy one of these cases. These cases are better. They come pre-unlocked, but you still have the 1.1% chance to earn a Blish lock. That 1.1% is under 2 layers of RNG. You have to roll for that 1.1%, and then you have to roll again for quality. Throwing money away. It's $5 for that, and what you're going to end up with is most likely trash. The default cobalt skin is much, much better than what you're likely to pull out from there. Weapon keys are $600, so $2.50. For $5, you can roll twice. You're rolling a 0.7% chance. What you're likely getting is crap. Don't do it. Do not waste money on this. I consider this really predatory. Humans are very, very bad when it comes to assessing the odds. And when you have odds hidden under a second layer of RNG, it's pretty fucking terrible. I know other games like Counter-Strike can get away with it, right? But it's kind of really shitty in CSGO too. This is some nasty stuff. But moving on. So why was this done the way it is, right? Simple. If 99% of the population can't have a pristine cobalt weapon skin, then the wall doesn't exist for most people. When the new cases with the new skins come out, those who really don't have a pristine high-end skin will likely be more open to roll for new skins. It's the beginning of skin economy, and overcomes the hard limit they initially set in place with the loadout card system. This brings Dirty Bomb more in line with how successful games handle skins, as well as gets away from the loadout card system that alters the way you play the game. Instead, you can just roll for skins. A skin economy is so much better than having your loadouts hard locked to how you play, having your cosmetics hard locked to how you play the game. Quick side point on the RAD update. Before moving on, let's run over the RAD system real quick. RADs are a premium currency the game uses now to purchase items, instead of previously just using your real money to do so. For those not in the know of what the point of this is, well, it's kind of a quick and dirty way to earn money. By pricing things like cases just beyond the first tier bundle, it forces the user to spend more at once to get the needed rads to buy what he wants. In this case, there's a $5 tier, then a $15 tier. You want a loadout case? You spend $15 to get enough rads. Sure, you have leftover rads to buy more things, but you initially only wanted to buy one case. So instead of just spending about $6, you spend 3 times as much. Whatever you do with the rads is your own business. As far as the company's concerned, they just made $15 from you. Also, having to do currency conversions is something the vast majority of people won't do, since it allows the devs to get away with a bit of shady pricing. Plus, the leftover currency after a purchase staring the player in the face creates a temptation to purchase more, because now all you need is a little more until you can buy something else. Again, my background is neuroscience, and companies are employing proven neuromarketing techniques to use innate human biological mechanisms to get you to spend more and kind of integrate certain aspects of your life into their ecosystem, i.e. Apple is very good at doing this with their product lines. This kind of stuff is generally more egregious in mobile games, where adults and especially children are the prime targets. Moving on to predictions to how Dirty Bomb will monetize their game going forward. But quickly, before that, let's just go through what I recently said. So, you have a $5 pack, the $15 pack. With the $5 pack, you earn 1.2k. With the $15 pack, you earn 4.2k. You want to buy one loadout case. Here we go. One prime loadout case. That's 1.4k. 1.4k? What, 1.45k, right? $5 tier is only 1.2k. So, you either have to earn it using the free rads you get every week, right? Or you just spend $15 to buy that case. You only wanted to spend maybe 5, 6, right? Again, that's kind of what the rad system is. People don't like to do currency conversions. It's another layer of math, right? So that's why systems like this exist. Even good games like Path of Exile use this system because it works. But enough about that. Let's get into the fun part, speculation. Dirty Bomb has been hemorrhaging players for years, and unless 1.0 is backed by a large advertising push, the game's pretty much dead on arrival. But let's say 1.1 is huge and has a lot of weight behind it. What steps will Splash Damage take to ensure the game is a continued success? As mentioned before, the Cobalt cards and Special Edition cards hold a prestigious place in the Dirty Bomb community. Splash Damage will be implementing a trading system soon that will allow for certain cards to be traded. How would this impact those cards? Well, simple. Devalue the Special Edition cards. Because when everyone can easily get them, right? The value of Cobalt is yet again increased, and prestigious Special Edition cards are kind of made lesser. So if you can reduce the value of these Special Edition cards and kind of make them more common and less valued, you have more people that kind of want Cobalts now because Special Edition cards are worthless. That could be a line that SD takes, or Splash Damage could kind of just be like, oh, we kind of don't want to allow trading for these Special Edition cards, right? And instead they only really put up weapon skins. Weapon skins like the melee weapon skin cards, the gun weapon skin cards, and all that, and maybe trinkets and stuff. But that allows them to only be able to monetize the augments, right? And they sell the augments, and then people would trade the augments instead of, because that's all they could really get because they can't get the Special Edition, right? That's another method. Steam Market integration will allow Splash Damage again to monetize trading weapon skins, right? That not only lets them make a profit selling you the loot box, but when you trade the reward, they can also make a cut of that as well. It's a double dip. As the game has removed rank, this also came with the removal of ranked skins for the foreseeable future. This means that if enough time passes and a new group of Dirty Bomb players come in, when rank is reintroduced, Splash Damage might not offer loadout skins, but instead weapon skins as ranked rewards. Maybe, right? But I'm assuming that ranked rewards will kind of be affected somehow if they're moving to a skin economy, right? Good looking and ranked weapon skins actually hurt the bottom line when it comes to weapon cases, right? So it would make sense if if they do introduce new loadout cards in the next season, the weapon skins would kind of be shitty, because if you purposely make the weapon skin shitty, right, weapon cases are more valuable because you want to cover up that nasty looking loadouts card skin. That could be something else they do if they take a shady approach. But again, that's We're at the speculating point. Also, with every update to the crafting system and reward system before it, I imagine Splashdown was once again attempt to increase the grind. Keep an eye out on daily rewards and just the crafting system in general. That might be something they do. I imagine it definitely will be something they do, though. And I also imagine trinkets will be added to the game in the form of loot boxes as well, which is actually another decent form of revenue for that. Because each merc that requires a different trinket, right? So if you add a loot box with trinkets in it, that's kind of pretty easy, right? You just make a few set skins, or you create a randomizer for skins, and you just pump that into a few trinkets. Sell the box. Go, oh, here's a box full of trinkets. It's you can reuse some of the older models you have and just reskin them and stick them in the loot box. That's a quick and easy way to actually make money, and it's not that egregious, actually. I'd say that's a pretty good way they can actually make money, and it's not cancerous. On the other hand, if 1.0 is a flop and they do something dumb, like rely on word of mouth to get their game there instead of investing in advertising, the game is going to continue downward into its death spiral. By now, they should kind of have advertising in place, because 1.0 is coming up soon. And when you're scheduling advertising, you have to do it ahead of time, at least a decent amount ahead of time. It doesn't seem like they're pumping much money into advertising, so that's kind of what sells a game. A game is, whatever its budget is, you spend about that much in advertising. Or close to it. Or more, sometimes. But yeah, advertising is kind of more expensive than the game itself, if you want to make it successful. This game's already been out for a couple of years now, and realistically, I don't see it spiking, right? It's currently at around 1.5 concurrent, so within 2 years, I think the game's probably going to fizzle out. Also, they seem to be kind of dedicating a lot of resources to other projects, and currently they're kind of bad at covering up tracks. Like, you can look at the applications for jobs they kind of posted, and just pay attention to the development of Dirty Bomb. How much content was released in the last 2 years? It's kind of a dead giveaway that there might be a skeleton crew working on this game, or at least kind of enough to kind of keep it running and keep a slight bit of development. But a lot of the older players have noticed that the mercs coming out now are kind of changing the direction the game's taking, and they're not as well balanced when they're released. This might be done to drive up sales, like World of Tanks and World of Warship do this, where they release a new boat or a new tank, and it's overpowered, and it drives up sales so that a lot of people end up buying it and playing it, and then they nerf it into the ground later. So the devs might be doing that, but it might be that they don't have the resources to kind of test these mercs out, and in general, they come out a bit overtuned, and the amount of updates and releases are kind of at a grinding halt, so there might not be that many people actually working on this game. That is, unless when 1.0 comes out, it comes out huge and it comes out hard. Like, maybe 1.0 is that huge, but the dev cycle kind of just gives me a Skeleton Crew vibe. In conclusion, Splash Damage is a business and has to put profits ahead of all else. They have employees to pay, investors to pay, studio space that needs to be kept open, as well as a server that costs a pretty penny, right? Companies are not people or moral. Their drive is profits, and the concept of good and evil need not apply. Judge them based on the products and services they provide, and vote with your wallet. I really do enjoy Dirty Bomb, and I think it fulfills a fantastic niche in the gaming market. And with the right amount of work, it could be a more successful game. It will never be able to be a titan of the industry, but it is indeed able to stand on its own. Their monetization structure was set up to fail, and it's interesting how they've been turning that around. They have indeed increased profits according to financial statements reported by a Reddit user a while ago, right? Though, I'd be lying if I told you I believe 1.0 will be the sunshine and rainbows that some of the community does think it is. Yeah, and with that, we come to a conclusion. I imagine the melee weapon skin cases might do the same thing as well. But we know they're going to be released, but we haven't gotten the odds yet, so something to look forward to. Or bread.